Okay. I think we are. We're live. Let's just see.
It says we're live.
Actually live. Okay. There we are.
There we are. I'm so ready.
Okay, let me. Okay, and you can share it too now, I think, if you want.
Is this on your business page? I see it.
What?
I see it. Okay.
Get it to all the places and then we'll get started. Okay, so we're going there. And hey, Leslie. Here we are. Trying to get it. So we're going there. Okay. And all right, I think we're good to go.
Cool.
How are you?
I'm doing really well.
Well, we are officially on day 3 of the Becoming Wealthy interview series. And I have decided that I'm going to continue doing this because I've been having so much fun doing it. So I'll probably go to like once we finish these 9 days, I'll go to once a month interviews. And I have 2 really exciting non-Ouroboros alumni interviewees coming up towards the end of the week. I'm not announcing them yet, but stay tuned for those. I'm really excited to share some different perspectives, some different wealth alchemy and wealth creation perspectives with all of you guys as well. So yeah, as you're hopping on at home, feel free to say hi. And you can definitely hop over to the business page and join us there live. If you're not listening to this on some kind of replay, of course. So, Erikaa, hello.
Hello.
But now the tables are turned because you have interviewed me before, but now I get to interview you.
This is exciting. So exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you. So you are a double Ouroboros alumnus, right? This is your third.
Yes.
This is your third round as well.
Well, this is technically my second time doing Ouroboros.
Okay,
so I went to Ouroboros. No, I was not.
Okay, so you went through Ouroboros last time. So this is your second. This is your first alumni round. Awesome. Yeah. Well, just tell us, I think, a little bit about, I think that you have a bit of a unique background. Well, I won't say unique, but for the viewers, like you have a unique background in, how you were raised, religion, dogma, and then also like what you do now and how that kind of ties into background and dogma. And so I would love for you to just kind of introduce yourself and talk about like, how you grew up and how that brought you to where you are now. You are also a spiral practitioner. And just tell us a little bit about how money and wealth and played a role in your life and sort of where you came from.
Really good question. So I have my bachelor's from San Diego State University in Child and Family Development. So I went to school to study about children, and then I eventually was just feeling really scarcity because I still had to have a job. I was a preschool teacher once upon a time, and I didn't even have enough money for health benefits. And I was going through probably one of the biggest depressions of my life. My ex-boyfriend at the time left me for a friend of mine, and then I ended up doing dominatrix. And even then, like, I was making money, but I was still in my scarcity. And I grew up Catholic, so there was a lot of like, there was just a lot of attachment about money, and like, money's the root of all evil. There was no mention of money in my household. Like, I feel like I didn't even start talking about money until my mid-20s, once I started taking one class, and then that later led to Amanda Francis's, which I know that you're a big fan of. And when I heard that you talked about Amanda Francis, I was like, oh my gosh, she took the course and now she's like this powerful wealth witch. And to go deeper, I always felt like scattered. Like, I was taking these classes and I was working, but it didn't quite like fully integrate. And then I did spiral practitioner training, and it was working, and there was a lot of mindset. And then once I kept following you on your platform, I said, okay, like, I really feel like maybe there's some kind of connection there. And I started following, and I just leaned into the work, and things just like seriously shifted. Like, something energetically shifted. Even recently, things are just like magic. And like, even recently, I've just been meeting clients like in person. Like, I'm not even trying. People are like, are you a healer? Can I work with you? And I'm like, yeah. And I've just been doing like clears, and just like, I think one of the things you taught me is like, make this my work, like my life depends on it. And then things are just gonna start to like, be a little like, the more I trust myself, things are just gonna shift. And at first I didn't believe it, because I've done Amanda Francis and I still love her work, but there was something that was just consistent with Ouroboros and your program.
Awesome. So I want you to talk a little bit about, because you like kind of mentioned in passing, like, then you like started doing some stuff as a dominatrix. And I think it's important to talk about this because, we talk about inside Ouroboros that the energy of sex and money is very similar. It's not the same, but energetically and vibrationally, they're very similar. So there's a lot of people that have sexual trauma or that have sexual repression also struggle financially. They struggle with receiving financially, or they struggle with breaking free of lack and scarcity mentality. So I want to talk about that a little bit, because you definitely, had done a lot of healing for yourself in that area prior to coming into the program. And you've worked in lots of different aspects of sexual consciousness work, right? So I would love to have you like speak a little bit to that, and then also talk about how that shifted since you really have dove into doing the wealth consciousness work.
Yeah, this is such a really good point to make. And I would say that like, once I started doing the paternal clears, that's like one of the things that you started teaching us. It was like how it's actually really connected to your childhood. And that's kind of what I studied. And so for me, I started to notice that I had a really dirty association around money. Money is dirty, money is sinful, or how I'm acquiring money is dirty. And I was living a double life. Like, I wasn't able to really share some of the stuff. Like in person, I wasn't able to really connect because there was still that inauthenticity. And so once I started to say, you know what, I completely changed my story and association to like feeling dirty or feeling shameful or all this guilt, which is like really level 1 stuff in the spiral. I said, you know what, I am deserving of this. And, you know, it's not about money is good or bad. And I think you even talked about it. Like money doesn't care if you're good or bad. And that was my whole thing, is I really felt like money was like judging me. Like it was almost like money was Jesus or God, and I was like being punished. And so once I cleared that, I was like, oh my God, that was the thing that was holding me. And so that was my whole like relationship around money. It was like, I'm a bad girl. And so I'm going to be punished. And this is karma, right? Like that whole association. So once I started like even releasing it, the most amazing opportunities just started coming to me, and like relationships, community, money, just like just really being in my heart and really connecting with people. I felt like I've really like, even for me, I feel like a lightness. Like I feel like I don't have to stress about money. But yeah, I definitely had a whole association that like I was a bad girl, that I was dirty. And so once you share that concept, it was like, oh my goodness, this is so easy. And, you know, there's so many other women that are probably going through the same thing as me. And like, I would love for more women to see themselves. And like, I think it's powerful for a woman to be a dominatrix, or a woman to I don't know, like I have friends who are conscious strippers, and like it's really not even about good or bad. It's about like what are you doing with money? Like how are you creating a contribution? Are you creating are you raising the consciousness here on the planet? Are you like, you know, taking it away? And for me, I'm all about like personal growth and like making impact. So
Yeah. So I think, you know, it's interesting, this concept of, you know, one, money is neither good nor bad, but also money doesn't care if you're good or bad. And, you know, I did a post about this, I think yesterday or the day before, where, because there's two sides of this coin, right? There's the side of people that are like, money's so good. And then there's the people that are like, money's so evil. And then there's people that are like, you have to be extra good to be rewarded financially, right? To have money and to have unlimited financial resources, you have to be a really good person. You have to be doing really good in the world. And then there's the other school of people that are like, all people who are wealthy and rich are evil, horrible, greedy monsters, you know? And it's like, this is one of the concepts that I think that can be really life-changing when you actually fully embrace it, and not just like conceptually be like, oh yeah, money's a neutral resource, right? We know that. Like if you stop and you think for a minute, you know that money is a resource, right? Like we know that if you go back to just base metals, right? The metals of money, gold is not good or bad. Silver is not good or bad. It's just a resource, right? It's just a metal. It's just something that comes from our planet. And then if you take that further and you're like, you know, this US dollar or this pound or this Indonesian rupiah, like this piece of paper is neither good nor bad. It's just a piece of paper that most likely is not backed by anything, right? But it's just like, it's just this paper. It's backed by the labor of the people of the country, but it's like, it's not good or bad. So conceptually and like logically, I think we get that, right? Like it's like, you can say that to somebody and say, money's neither good nor bad, it's a neutral resource. Tons and tons of money coaches are out there saying that. Money's neither good nor bad, it's a neutral resource. But what I think people don't understand is it doesn't matter whether logically you get it or logically it makes sense to you. It's what is the conditioning and the programming underneath that statement mean to you? Where is that stored in your body? Where is that stored in your psyche? Where is that stored in your consciousness? And what is it attached to and what is it associated to, right? So that's the work that obviously we do in Ouroboros, where it's like digging deeper into that so that you're not just saying money's neither good nor bad, you're fully realizing it. But the post I did the other day where I was like, you know, money doesn't give a shit. Money does not give a shit whether you're a good person or a bad person. Money doesn't give a shit whether you are the head of the Sinaloa cartel or fucking Mother Teresa. Like it doesn't care. And you are not going to be rewarded more if you're a saint than if you're a sinner, right? Regardless, those people, the people that are wealthy on either side of the coin, have got a really strong grasp on the universal laws and principles of money. And it has nothing to do with whether or not they're executing and gunning people down, or they're saving lives and, you know, building orphanages.
That's the truth.
So I love that you brought up that concept. So what do you think your biggest challenge has been in like doing wealth consciousness work, and maybe like what's been the hardest part for you, and what have been the biggest challenges?
That's another good question. I would say like I had 1 month that I was like, this is not working. I was kind of blaming it on my culture or my upbringing. I said, maybe I was literally putting it onto the race card, which was really stupid, right? Like, and I thought, well, it's just not for me. And I just like wanted to like even stop journaling. I said, like, it doesn't matter. Like all the personal growth that I'm doing, it's just not going to work for me. And it was really a belief system. It was about not feeling enough. Like, you know, sometimes like I feel like it's kind of, I think personal development is good, except for some people, it becomes an addiction of like, maybe if I take the next personal growth class, maybe the next thing is going to get me somewhere, right? And for me, it was really about worthiness. It was like I needed to be seen, needing to be validated. And I said, that's not really who I am. Like, I don't really need this validation, and money's not really going to get me something. It's just going to get me like resources and freedom. And so for me, like there was a moment where I was just in my scarcity, and then we had the Telegraph chat, and like the Telegraph chat, the accountability, like you kicking our ass, like, oh my God. I mean, we didn't have that. Like I never had that before. It was more about like, oh, you're not going to pay the bills, so you're going to live on the street and then you're going to die. Like that was like my belief system, was like, hey, I'm not going to do well. I might as well work for Uber. I might as well go back to corporate America. And yeah, I was just looping into the cycle of self-sabotage. And that was just like, how am I going to be creative? How am I going to share my message? How am I going to really like, just really show the real me that's not coming from scarcity or like fear, because fear was running my life. Like I was a scaredy cat. I was afraid of you. I was like, I don't even want to be authentic, because I was like so intimidated by my truth or being like, you know, being called out. And I really needed that call out. And I think a lot of people need that call out because they're living in that victim consciousness. And I was living in victim consciousness around money for so long.
So I think that's a good, like, I'd love for you to touch on that a little bit more, because I feel like, you know, that's a thing, I think. So how, like that, you know, I think that this is common where people are intimidated by me or they're scared to work with me. And I laugh because I'm like, I swear, I'm like, it's the Ouroboros is like, I'm selling you to not join up for the program, is like how I sell the program, because I'm like, it's hard. Like, it's not for everyone. You have to be willing to show up and do the work. So I would love for you to address the, like, being intimidated by me coming into the container, like what your experience has been with me. But maybe like what helped you get over the intimidation enough to sign up, I guess.
I mean, I don't think I signed up because I was intimidated, to be honest. I signed up because
what helped you get over it enough to sign up?
Yeah, well, the first thing that you said is strike out your language. Like the first, I think it was like the first conversation. I still, till this day, I still use it. I was afraid of like splurging. I was afraid of like taking myself on a date. I was afraid of like spending on myself, because I was like, I don't know how to like even, you know, celebrate or acknowledge or have a win. And I shared it, and you're like, strike out that language. And I was like, oh, like I felt this charge, and it wasn't coming from like you being mean. You were like helping me clear out that belief system that was actually affecting my nervous system and my ability to celebrate, because like I had that idea for so long, because I have a mother who's just like always in fear. Did you pay the bills? Are you going to survive? And yeah, I was running on survival. And when you said that, I was like, okay, I'm just going to trust. And then all of a sudden, like, I ended up getting another client by just letting go of that story. And it was really interesting because it was a very simple thing, but you said it with such fierceness and rigor. And I was like, okay, I feel the container. I feel the love. I feel like you're like Kali Ma. You're just like fierce and how you say it. And it's not coming from like telling us what to do. It's just like really deconstructing the stuff that we were born with. Like, and once I kept doing this programming, I realized like, it's like people in power that want us to play small, that humility programming of like playing small. And I felt small to the fact that I didn't want to show up and be visible. And that just that alone allowed me to just like share my message and be more me. And yeah, that's what I got from that moment.
Yeah, I think that the languaging is really important. And, this is some place where I'll say, I'm all in on mindset work around, hey, Jason, I'm all in on mindset work around shifting your language, and really being careful about the words that you're saying, the spells that you're casting. There's a reason why when we write words, it's called spelling, because we're literally casting spells with our thoughts, feelings, actions, deeds, but certainly with our words. And so if you come to work with me in any way, doesn't matter what it is, it's like languaging for me is so important. And there are these certain phrases that we use, especially when it comes to wealth consciousness work, that are debilitating and we don't even realize it, right? So, you worked with me long enough to know that like I'm a stickler in my programs for saying stuff like I can't afford, or when I get the money, I will, is another one that's like so insidious. It's like you're sending this energy out into the world of like, I'm not worthy and deserving right now, and I can't have right now, but when I get the money, I will. You'll never get the money. As long as you're saying, when I get the money, I'll do this thing, it's never going to happen. You're never going to have the money. And if you work with me, I'm also not about bullshit I'm a billionaire affirmations either. Like for me, it's all about energetically backing yourself all along the way. So, languaging is important. So I'm imagining, like you said, something like can't or don't know how, or, if you say I don't know how to do this thing to me, you're always going to get a return of, yes, you do. Yes, you actually do. Your soul knows, your soul always knows. So I would imagine that it was something along those lines.
For me, it was the word that's coming through is impossible. That's impossible. Yeah. Or it's not going to happen to me, or maybe it's just not my time, right? Or karma was another one. But as soon as I just like got rid of that, I was like, I'm just going to let it go and just trust. So I've been using the word trust a lot. And it's not even that, it's just like looking at how it actually relates to our childhood. Like the things that we picked up from our mom and dad and their habits and their spending habits and their way of like, there's not enough money to buy all the food. We need to save more money. We need to like, be careful of where and I think it's good to save. I think it's really mindful. And I think that's another thing you provide is like money tracker. And for me, it's like, I'm actually being more cognizant about my savings and it's not coming from like frugal. It's coming from like making smart decisions. Like, where is my investments going?
Yeah, well, that's something that we talk about a lot, right? Is custodianship of money. And being a good custodian of money means something different for you than it does for me, than it does for, anyone that's watching or listening to this. Like custodianship is a very individual process, and determining what makes you a good custodian of money is an individual journey. And so, yeah, like, at certain stages in your journey, saving might not be important to you, but then at other stages it might. And so, that's that exploration of what does it mean to be a good steward of money and to be a good custodian of your money. Again, to me, it's energy, right? Like all of this stuff that we're talking about is energetic alignment stuff. It's when I am in energetic alignment with the things that serve my highest and best good, then I'm on a trajectory towards my highest and best good. When I'm not being a good steward of my money, when I'm not being a good steward, I'm not being a good custodian of money, when my languaging is off and I'm continually reinforcing that I'm not worthy and I'm not deserving to myself, like I'm broke, right? Like absolutely, I'm broke. That is energetic alignment and energetic availability. So I think it's like all of the stuff that you're talking about is so important. And I've definitely seen you, these are areas where I've seen such tremendous growth in you. Is I feel like, when you first came into the program, you had a bit of a defeatist mentality, like exactly what you're talking about. Like, well, maybe it can't happen to me, or maybe it can't happen for me. And I've seen you like just completely move out of that, which is amazing.
And it applies to sexuality and just like opportunities coming your way. And I'm like, what if I apply the same science to my sex life and my love life? I think it's the same thing. It's all mindset. And I mean, there's just so much science around it. And for me, like I was living like that because I just had such a conditioning, and it was affecting my my health. Like I don't know if this relates to this, but when I went to spiral practitioner training, before that, I had like heart palpitations. I had a lot of panic attacks. And then it actually turned out to be an emotion, which is really connected to that belief system.
Yeah.
And I was like, how is my health getting better? How is my energy like on top? Like my energy lately has been like crazy. Like I haven't had this much energy in a while.
Yeah. Well, it's, symptoms are disease is literally emotional symptoms trapped in the body, right? So we know as we clear out our emotional conditioning and our programming, and we deconstruct all of that it frees our bodies and our cells up to regenerate when they're not storing trapped emotions. So what was the biggest aha moment for you in the program, or over the last several months since you've been doing this work?
I definitely have to say the chakra clears with money. That was something that I never really got, but I realized that there's some weird synchronicity to that. Like I'm kind of a skeptical when it comes to magic, and I know you talk about magic and tarot, but once I started like fully leaning in and like letting go of my skeptic hat, there was something that was like, there's some synchronicity to all of this. And it wasn't just the magical side. It was also the mother and paternal clears, like how much that impacted me.
Yeah.
It impacted me, especially, the maternal paternal clears first. It really impacted me. And I cried a lot. I was just like, I had a day where I was just incredibly emotional. And I said like, how does this really relate to it? And I know, because I studied this, I know how childhood trauma or sexual trauma can really affect the mind. It can get us to feel heavy, to feel depressed, fight, flight, and freeze. And I think I was just so like numb to like emotion that I was just like I was like a zombie. And now people are like, you just seem so different. You just seem so light. And I wasn't thinking that's going to be my intention. It was like, whoa, I really released like some heavy energy, because that's all that I was thinking about. I was like, how am I going to make money? I was so focused on the how. And I always hear this in personal development. Don't think about the how, focus on the why. But I was so focused on the how.
Yeah. Well, it's, again, this is one of those things that it's one of those self-development buzzwords where it's like, don't worry about the how is not your job. It's a true statement, right? But until we can actually clear the conditioning or the programming that is keeping us stuck in the how, like the words don't mean anything. And you can say it a million times, you can write it in your journal a million times, this is the problem that I have with mindset alone. When we're using mindset alone, you just cannot slap a fucking affirmation band-aid on something and expect your life to change. Like it just doesn't work that way. And you may get some small wins, but it's about the deeper work. It's about the deconstruction process. It's about like, what is the source? What is the root? Why are you showing up the way that you're showing up? And I think, you know, for me, yes, like I am fully embracing of the magical, the mystical, the supernatural, the otherworldly. It's a huge part of my life. My connection to God and to the divine is a huge part of my life. But I am a skeptic by nature as well. And because of my human design profile, I talked about this on the last interview, like I'm a 5-1 projector. My 5-1, my one line wants to know why everything works. It wants to know how everything works. It wants to understand the ins and outs of every bit of, you know, this work that I'm doing. And so there's this constant balance for me, because there is a part of it that's otherworldly. There is a part of it that's supernatural. There is a part of it that I can't explain. And I'm still constantly looking for explanations for that. But a lot of the work that we do in this program is based in science, right? We're doing emotional clearing techniques that are based in kinesiology, that are based on the Chinese 5-element system, that are, you know, we're talking about things like ancestral DNA, memory that's stored in our ancestral DNA, that we have scientific proof is a fact that we carry that, right? At least 7 generations. They've proven now I was reading something 2 days ago, I think it was either rats or bunnies, I'm not sure, one of the two, but they've proven 14 generations. So it's, you know, we scientifically have proven that we carry these memories. And that's part of why this program is so impactful, is that we're actually going in and clearing maternal and paternal ancestral lines. But deeper than that, we're going into 8 branches of your family tree, 20 generations back. And we're doing one-on-one clearing work where we're clearing up all the stuff that you're carrying that's not yours. And that, I think, is really, really freeing.
It is. Just like noticing, you know, the patterns of my mother. And I think it was, I don't know if it was the timeline or generational timeline where it was like looking at her family tree. Had so much revelation, where I just like, I like had a mindset shift where I was like, this makes so much sense. Yeah. And I wasn't freaking out. I wasn't fighting. I wasn't trying too hard. I said, I'm just gonna like let the divine just give me the codes, you know, and just like surrender to the divine, embrace my witchy side.
Yeah. So what's your advice for somebody that's just starting out in their wealth consciousness journey, or is, you know, maybe thinking about doing Ouroboros or thinking about doing mastering your spiritual money game? Like, what is your advice for them?
I could easily just be like, just do it. Like, work with Leah. I've got so many results. If you're a skeptic like me and you feel like maybe you have taken like a money course, or maybe you've read Think and Grow Rich, but nothing is like really like shifting, this is absolutely magical. Like, even recently, I just signed on 2 clients. Like this past week, I signed on 4 clients. It was like the most clients, and we haven't even like fully started round 3. And I said, wow, like that's just how amazing the container is, because you have like all the support of people celebrating your wins, like, and your refrigerator trick is crazy. But just the support and like the enthusiasm and the energy, like you feel it. Like when Leah talks and when you feel everyone celebrating, like everyone has that energy. And I don't know what it is, but like even thinking about that chat, or even thinking about like being in your container, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's just gonna work. And you're talking to someone who's comes from such a very fearful state and just like repressing money. I mean, like crazy things happen. I got a ticket to London for $380. Like, you know, like just the craziest things happen. I'm like, Leah, like, I love you. Like, thank you so much. And I really think every single woman on the planet needs to do this.
I think, I mean, that's an interesting thing that you're talking about with the container. And, you know, the the energy of being in the container. Like so many people are messaging me right now, like, oh my God, this thing happened. So we just officially started on Thursday. Like we had our welcome call on Thursday and the first content dropped yesterday. And then we have our first Q&A call in the program tomorrow. But it's so literally like we've been in the container less than a week, and I'm getting so many messages from people that are like, oh my God, this shifted, this money came in, this opened up, this freed up. Like I got these clients. And I guess the thing for me that like I absolutely will say about that is it's not magic. It's the intention of the group container. It's the intention of all of these people coming together, committed to deconstruct their money shit, committed to shifting their wealth paradigm. When you have a group of people, and we have like almost 50 people right now that are focused on shifting their wealth paradigm, all of that energy together, it is so powerful, and it cannot help but activate you positively. Like it cannot help but rub off on you.
And I wanted to say, it's almost like when you're in a group meditation or you're praying in a group of people, like something happens, right? Like when people like are in a group setting, there's a power and intention in a group instead of just doing it one-on-one. Like it's just so much more powerful if you're doing it in a group setting versus like, I'm just going to do this alone. Yeah. Like that's what I got. It was like, because I always hear about like the power of praying in a group or meditating. This was just like a container, and we're having the same mindset. Or someone's like having a rough day, we're like, we're gonna get each other out of it. That's what I think is powerful. And it's beautiful to have that community to like help you out of your sad day. And I think anyone who does money and has a community, we're just going to be even more powerful together. Why not try it with Ouroboros?
Yeah, and it's amazing, I think, because you do have the support of the alumni as well. So it's like you've got the alumni support inside the container that's helping there to like when people are having bad days. And so it's not just me that's there helping, but you've really got an amazing group of alumni that have come in from the first and the second rounds. So do you have any questions you want to ask me?
Ooh, any questions? When people say the word expensive, that's too expensive. That's just something that like, it's really interesting because now that I'm going, it's like, I'm actually catching other people's languaging. And it's like, I want to know like the root words of some of these words, like expensive.
Yeah, well, to me, I have changed my association with the word expensive. So I really, I'm actually just, I want to look it up because I want to actually see what it means. I want to see what the root of the word is. Given to profuse expenditure, it comes from expense, meaning costly, requiring profuse expenditure, and expense is the action of spending or giving away, a laying out or expending. So it's literally like the action of spending or giving away. And for me, like I've just really changed my association with the word, because my whole life, something that was expensive it was a negative association, right? And I even now find myself like, this is something that I have had to really work on, because I'll even now find myself, you know, with my husband will just be like, oh, Leah likes expensive things. And I'll be like, oh, like I'll bristle and be like, well, yeah, I do. Like, you know, but my immediate response is to bristle because it was something that was given negative association growing up. Like if something was expensive, it was too expensive. It was out of my reach. It was something that I wasn't available to, I wasn't worthy of having. I wasn't deserving of having because I wasn't at the class of or caliber of person that could afford that thing that was expensive or too expensive, right? And so I really had to change my association with it. And now it's like, you know, now I affirm stuff to myself like, you know, if it isn't expensive, I don't want it. If it isn't, you know, like, and that's not true. I mean, I definitely like things that are, I mean, it's value to me, right, as well. But for me, it's like, it would be ridiculous for me not to have the most expensive version of something if I wanted it. It would be ridiculous for me, like, when I invest in something that is expensive, and also is quality and also has value, then I'm actually rewarded and the money comes back to me tenfold. Or, like, I have changed my associations with that word. I have now given it positive associations. And also, it's like, there is nothing any longer that I believe that I cannot afford or that's too expensive for me. It's literally, if I want something and if I desire something, I know that I can make it happen.
I like that reframe. Like, just being deserving. I just like see it as like, we deserve luxury. We deserve to have good experiences. Like, I feel so much better shopping at H&M or a really nice mall versus a 99-cent store. Like, there's like, you just feel like you belong. There's a whole different energy shift. Or when I eat at a really good cafe versus something that just, I don't know, it just feels grimy and, elegant.
Yeah.
So my other question is, like, what's going to happen what makes this round of Ouroboros differently than the last one? Because I want to know.
Yeah, so I talked a little bit about this on the call with Carrie yesterday. I think the biggest shift in this round of Ouroboros is that we're exclusively using my new emotional resonance clearing modality. So I'm moving away from using spiral modality. We'll exclusively be using the emotional resonance modality, which just focuses more on the elements, and goes a little deeper into our emotional response, and then a little bit deeper into the brain to body connection, because we're looking at what is as a result of the conditioning and the response, what is the question that's causing us to ask ourselves on a daily basis. And so we're clearing all of that stuff versus just clearing the emotion. So that's probably the biggest difference. And I'm also doing a brand new series this round on programming and the global financial agenda. So more education and information on that, so that people can really understand how that works and how that plays a role. And it's, for me, it's the important part of, like, how did we get to where we are? Like, how did we get to this place where we're living so controlled? So there's going to be a new 3-part series on that. And then all of the amazing goodness that we've had in the previous rounds, which is maternal and paternal ancestral line clearing, the 8 branches of your family tree generational clearing, lots and lots of clearing around just money, wealth, abundance, prosperity, deserving, worthiness, all of that. And then we also still have the 13 chakra system and the 13 dimension clears. So there's a lot. I mean, there's so much in the program. It's like about all of it, because it's so content heavy. We added another month, as you know, this time. So it's a 4-month program instead of a 3-month program. And for the alumni, the big difference is that you guys are actually getting advanced clears, getting a one-on-one advanced alumni clear with me, where we're really focusing on the individual element for you that needs clearing and focus. And then there's 2 additional group calls with the VIP alumni as well.
Amazing. And you have a book out a book that's coming out that I signed up for.
Yeah, Wealth Alchemy. It's actually the rest of my day today working on the book. Yeah. So Erikaa is also an Ouroboros affiliate. Do you have a bonus that you're giving as an affiliate?
A bonus as an affiliate is access to a sex clear. So they get a free sex clear. It's like the most popular thing. And it's really shifted a lot of people around connecting deeper with their partners. And this was actually inspired by the container. Like, my idea, this one has been like the most powerful. And I mean, if people want deeper connection, it's just really about like letting go of like sexual trauma or the things that you tell yourself that you're not deserving around sex. And this is something that has, like, I absolutely love doing this, Claire. So that's my bonus.
Awesome. So one-on-one sex clear with Erikaa if you sign up for Ouroboros using her link, which we will drop here in the video and in the description of the video. Yeah, so thanks for joining me. It's been amazing having you on. I'm so excited that you're back in round 3 of the program, and I can't wait to see what happens for you over this 4-month journey, because I know it's going to be amazing.
Just reinforcing.
Yeah, diving deeper, right? Like, just there's always other layers to unearth, and other things to look at, and yeah, so thank you for joining me. I'm so glad that you agreed to come on and be interviewed, and I'm really excited. Definitely the bonus is epic, and I think, you know, I've just seen all of the testimonials that you've been posting about these sex clears and how much they've really been changing people's lives. And so I think it's an awesome, awesome bonus. So if you're feeling do sexual consciousness work and sex clearing with Erikaa, she's your affiliate. All right. Well, have an amazing rest of your evening. And for everyone else, have an amazing day, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world as you're watching the replay or you're listening to the replay. And remember, it is your divine birthright to be wealthy. And you are so, so worthy and deserving of that. Our next interview is not scheduled, so I have to schedule the rest of the interviews. So stay tuned via email or on my page. I'll be posting the time of the next interview. It will most likely be tomorrow evening, Bali time. So I think that's it.
Thank you, Leah. Good night. Bye.